a white neighborhood, you should be required to live in the hood if you're Barack Obama and
if you're using that card.
You use that card. The only reason you got elected was because of your race.
Wait, did he really just say that? You could feel the tension in the room after that statement. Tucker Carlson's guest completely shattered the carefully crafted narrative surrounding the Obama legacy. And let's just say, it wasn't flattering. From identity politics to massive financial gains, this conversation didn't hold back, and the look on Tucker's face said it all.
Michelle Obama goes to Princeton for free and has been in the ruling class her whole life. And she's still lecturing you about how she's a victim of racism. Hillary Clinton, exact same thing. Goes to Wellesley, spends her entire life in the ruling class, and she's still whining about how she's discriminated against. Why are they doing that?
Yeah, and did you ever see, they'll have like pictures of side by side, but it'll be like pictures of like Jimmy Carter's house and Obama's house.
Exactly.
And it totally represents something about the like corroding of our soul.
In a white neighborhood, you should be required to live in the hood if you're Barack Obama and
if you're using that card.
You use that card. The only reason you got elected was because of your race. You spent your entire 8 years inflaming race hate in our country, and then you go to Martha's Vineyard, the whitest zip code in the world? Not allowed. You're not allowed to do that.
But honestly, should we even be shocked? Because by now, the hypocrisy is just impossible to ignore. And before we unpack all of the jaw-dropping revelations they just put on display, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. We go deeper into stories the media would rather you never hear about. Did you subscribe? Great, let's get into it. All right, let's start with a number that might seriously blow your mind. When Barack Obama first stepped into office in 2008, his net worth was estimated to be around $1.3 million. Not bad for a U.S. senator, but nothing outrageous. Fast forward to today, and suddenly he's sitting on a staggering $70 million or more. That's one insane financial glow-up, wouldn't you say? And of course, we're supposed to believe that this massive fortune came purely from book deals and speaking gigs. Because obviously there couldn't possibly be a well-oiled system of influence trading, backdoor deals, and financial favors quietly working behind the scenes, right? Sure, but let's not just focus on Obama because this isn't just about him. Tucker's guest went in depth on how identity politics has evolved into one of the most profitable industries in modern times. And guess who's making bank from it? The Obamas, the Clintons, the Bidens. It's a never-ending cash cow built on victimhood, and they've mastered how to milk it. Now, here's where things start getting really ridiculous. Tucker's guest pointed out something so obvious, yet so many people still don't seem to see it. The same figures who constantly preach about privilege, oppression, and inequality are the exact same ones scooping up multi-million-dollar homes in places like Martha's Vineyard and Hawaii.
Barack Obama's campaign in 2008, first of all, it was just leaving how you feel about the guy aside, it was an amazing campaign. It was unlike anything that had ever been run before.
It was genius.
Yes, it was totally brilliant. It was now, of course, it wasn't what they presented it as. It wasn't like a grassroots campaign. It was,
let's sort of like elect the black guy and get past the race stuff. I loved that.
Well, especially because that was his message.
That was his message.
And let's get past the race stuff.
I love that.
He goes, then I think essentially what happened, and it was around Obama's re-election campaign, this is where things really went off the rails in this country, was that he got in there and continued and expanded all the worst of the Bush policies.
Oh, of course.
And so they almost had nothing to run on, and so they decided to pivot to a culture war instead.
And this is where it gets absolutely insane. Michelle Obama, who lives in multi-million-dollar mansions, claims she still lives in fear for her daughters in America. Are we seriously supposed to believe that her life is anything like that of everyday Americans? Because the last time I checked, truly oppressed people aren't buying $12 million beachfront estates on secluded islands.
Many of us still live in fear as we go to the grocery store or worry about walking our dogs or allowing our children to get a license. I mean, just imagine.
Aren't your girls driving?
They're driving.
Yeah.
But every time they get in a car by themselves, I worry about what assumption is being made by somebody who doesn't know everything about them. The fact that they are good students and polite girls, but maybe they're playing their music a little loud. Maybe somebody sees the back of their head and makes an assumption. I, like so many parents of black kids, have to, that the innocent act of getting a license puts fear in our hearts.
Now let's break down the numbers, because this is where things get really interesting. Barack Obama commands around $400,000 per speech. Michelle, up to $700,000. The Clintons, they've pulled in over $230 million just from post office speaking deals. I mean, let's be real. What exactly are they saying in these speeches that's worth that kind of money? Oh, right. They're not being paid for their words. They're being paid for their influence. This is how the game is played, and guess what? The average American isn't even allowed in the room. And if you think this is all about sharing ideas or inspiring the next generation, think again. The real money isn't just in speeches, it's in book deals, media partnerships, and charities that never seem to actually fix anything. Just take a look at the numbers. The Obamas locked in a $65 million book deal right after leaving office. The Bidens made $16 million in just 2 years. And don't forget the Clintons, who turned their so-called charity into a $230 million personal ATM. And what do they all have in common? They push division and identity politics because it keeps the cash flowing. Starting to see the pattern?
I notice a theme here. There are a lot of extremely rich people who are deeply miserable and desperate to have you believe they're victims. What is that?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, LeBron James living in Bel Air, he's a victim. Meghan Markle went downgraded from billionaire to multimillionaire. She's a victim. They want you to know that they're all victims. It's because they're trying to distract us. The truth is that they view us as peasants. They're trying to make it seem like, hey, when the peasants turn against us because they're actually robbing all of them, we don't want them to look at us. We want to make them think that we're one of us. They're not one of us. They're nothing like us. They don't live like us. She has nothing that goes on in her life that is similar to the average American, yet she keeps trying to use her skin color and her complexion as a way to make people believe that she's suffering, and she's absolutely not suffering. And everyone should be aware that if you're watching this and you think that LeBron James and Meghan Markle and Barack Obama and Michelle Obama are oppressed, you are a fool. You have been fooled. They are doing just fine.
And here's the wildest part. These same people who lecture us about fairness and justice are the ones benefiting the most from shady financial loopholes. They whine about corporate greed, but they are the corporations. They demand Americans pay their fair share, yet they funnel their fortunes through tax havens and shell charities. At the end of the day, this isn't about race, oppression, or fighting for the little guy. It's about money, power, and control. And Tucker Carlson's guest just exposed it all. So now the question is, are people finally waking up, or will the media continue covering for them while vilifying anyone who dares to call them out? Drop a comment below with your thoughts, and if you found this video eye-opening, hit that like button and subscribe. Your support means everything. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.